Article 5. The wheels on the Explorer go round and round. How a lawfully purchased city vehicle became a political weapon. Category: Report Analysis, Public Accountability, Retaliation. Originally published July 8, 2025. Source: YourNews, reproduced here with original context preserved. This article shows how unsubstantiated allegations collapsed under evidence, how a demoted board member acted as chair without lawful elevation, and how that individual then used human resources to repossess a city vehicle in retaliation. Absurd items in this rancid report is a claim, made by one of a handful of disgruntled ex-employees, that a Ford Explorer was improperly purchased. Ironically, this is the one issue that couldn't be twisted or misrepresented. There was simply too much paperwork proving the vehicle was lawfully acquired. Why this former employee chose to report the logo removal, or how they even knew it occurred, given that they were no longer permitted on the property at the time, is beyond me. Sounds like the start of a stalker movie. I had recently been tasked with the added role of fleet manager, and records will show I was personally involved in ensuring the proper execution of this purchase. We received no formal training, some step-by-step guidance, yet we got it done. A for effort, sure, but Section 2? That gets a D+, because policy wasn't fully reviewed beforehand. Once alerted to the issue, however, it was immediately corrected. The takeaway here is about honesty and swift action. The fault was acknowledged openly, quoted even by the IG. So why does the rest of this report paint Mr. Bomber, Democrat, like some thieving supervillain in a direct-to-DVD movie? Because there are many layers to this rotten onion of a saga. In May of 2024, Starlet Stevens, Republican Electoral Board chairwoman, was removed from her position after I filed a formal complaint. I had grown concerned over her repeated unpleasant comments each time I handed her a batch of itemized purchases for her unauthorized reviews of our financial records. That complaint came before her infamous argument with John Ambrose, Republican, that ended her tenure as chair. Nonetheless, her behavior and frustration simmered until it finally exploded into a series of one-sided publicity stunts, each riding the coattails of the flawed IG investigation. Through what appears to be a medical leave loophole, Ms. Stevens took her position back. There were 2 other board members. Did they not deserve a chance to lead? That's a question voters should be asking. Once her unchecked authority was restored, Ms. Stevens made a baffling move for someone tasked with overseeing fair elections. She ordered the Human Resources Director, Tyrone Alexander, to confiscate the properly purchased and, then, properly utilized city vehicle. If I were an HR director, my first question would have been, why are you asking me this? After all, neither of their job descriptions has anything to do with fleet management. After having been demoted months prior, the question begs to be asked by the citizen, was it another political maneuver because she was up for reappointment that December 2024? It's not a plot twist. It's just vengefulness. Cease and desist. From Prince Brian L. Elections. Sent Friday, December 6, 2024, 14:25. 2. Stevens, Sherlyn S. Elections. CC. Kate Maxwell. Joyce Smith. Alexander, Tyrone DHR. Avila, Danny, Mayor-elect. Bomber, Keith. Elections. Chambliss, Calvin D. Name redacted for safety of individual. Elections. Subject: Cease and desist notification. 12.6.24. Ms. Stevens, you are hereby requested to cease and desist your unauthorized actions against the Office of Elections. You have overstepped your bounds as a subordinate electoral board member in a number of ways. You had no authority to instruct Human Resources to remove access to currently employed members of the Office of Elections. This caused damage to daily operations. You had no authority to instruct Human Resources to remove a city vehicle from our premises. This vehicle is the legal property of OOE. As fleet management for this office, I have not released this vehicle as the request is invalid. This vehicle is utilized for daily operations during election periods and was purchased through procurement with authorized funds. You are causing the disruption of operations solely to attack Keith Bomber as he typically uses said vehicle. Any further actions from you against this department will be submitted for legal action. Brian Prince, HSO, OOE Technology and Security Department. Update. As an update to this article, Corruption-Free RVA conducted a forensic, records-based review of all City of Richmond Electoral Board meeting minutes for calendar year 2024. Minutes from the latter part of 2024 were either not posted at all or posted in unreadable or incomplete formats. This breakdown coincided with a leadership transition in the records-based, and in appearance retaliatory, demotion of the staff member who had previously handled minutes publication with expediency and accuracy. These records were only posted and/or corrected after corruption-free RVA publicly documented the issue and filed a FOIA with the newly appointed registrar in 2025. During this process, the new FOIA officer attempted to impose an unlawful paywall on public records that are required by law to be freely accessible. We will address the departure of the former FOIA officer, and others, at a later date, including the broader mass exodus from the Office of Elections following the management change. Relevance to the case at hand. This review directly relates to our December 19, 2025 article, Vanishing Transparency 2, When Authority Exists on Paper and Disappears in Practice. That article documents how Starlet Stevens was publicly demoted by vote in May 2024 for unprofessional conduct, and how John Ambrose was elevated to chair by public vote. What the official minutes and court records do not contain, however, is equally significant. We found no transition documentation, no recorded discussions, and no public vote authorizing Starlet Stevens to resume the role of chair when Mr. Ambrose later took medical leave. The absence of any such records indicates a self-execution of authority without documented legal process. Compounding this issue, the records show that Stevens's term as a board member expired in December 2024, and that she was not reappointed by the Republican Party until March 2025. Despite this lapse, she was permitted to self-elevate during a documented power vacuum and operate as chair while serving under an expired term. Throughout 2025, Stevens continued to act with the authority of chair without any recorded reappointment, vote, or lawful transition reflected in the official record. That is why I referred to Stevens as a subordinate board member in my December 2024 cease and desist. The public record did not reflect any lawful restoration of her authority, and those with direct knowledge were unable to speak openly without fear of retaliation. Sometimes it takes a sacrifice of immediacy, and a year of patience, to bring the truth to light.